Niners. I know you know this. And I go way back with this team. And right now, obviously, there's a lot of quarterback stuff going on. Brock Purdy was amazing last year. Brock Purdy went down at the end of last year. You know, Jimmy Garoppolo had moments, and he was amazing at times. He went down last year. Trey Lance hasn't been amazing, has maybe amazing upside, potential, but he's gone down. He's gotten hurt. I think the 49ers and injuries are kind of synonymous at this point, right? Over the last decade, I think everybody's nauseated with how many injuries there have been. And I just want to start here with the quarterback thing. Obviously, Trey's reworked his mechanics, and some of you have seen the videos. I've seen some of the videos. I don't know. I feel like everything the guy does in practice, you know, Trey Lance, that is kind of a moot point until it's live bullets. Can he see the field? Can he throw to the right guy? Can he deliver it accurately? I don't know. I don't know if we're going to learn a whole lot. It looks better. I'm happy. I'm optimistic. But I don't know if we can learn a whole lot. And I don't think we can learn a whole lot about Sam Darnold. Like, whatever. We'll find out. To me, the biggest news that I heard, and Joe, I'd like you to play the cut here in a second. The biggest thing that I heard was from Kyle Shanahan. And I got PTSD.
God knows. And it's all estimates. So.
And basically, he was discussing Brock Purdy and the timetable and when he may or may not come back. Listen to what Kyle Shanahan said here, and it made me cringe because I just don't understand what we're doing here.
Only God knows, and it's all estimates, so it depends what quote people have got from me, but we're hoping for week 1, and I feel pretty optimistic about that. That's what we're hoping for. He'll be ready to play in week 1, and usually that doesn't mean that's the day he comes back. Usually you got to come before that to make that goal, and that's kind of the goal we're hoping for, and don't have any reason to think differently.
All right, now, it did not sound like to me they're trying to rush him in any way, right? And I'm sure that there's internal pressure from Brock Purdy wanting to get back out onto the field. I acknowledge that. And I'm just sure the way the nature of the elite athlete is you want to be out there and you want to be 100%. And I'm not calling the 49ers reckless. I'm not at all right? I'm just saying, can we pump the brakes a little? And what I mean is this. If you believe in Brock Purdy, if you think he's that dude, what's the rush? Health, stability, confidence in the elbow is the number one priority.
Only God knows.
The number one priority. This is not his ankle, okay? This isn't a broken fibula. This isn't even a torn ACL, where we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of data points of people who have suffered the same injury that we can point to and say, here's what a good rehab looks like. Here's what a bad rehab looks like. Here's how you should navigate the rehab process. This is something that only one other guy, Jake Delhomme, and another guy in Nick Mullins, and the procedure is very specific to Nick Mullins, have gone through in the history of quarterbacking. So can we at least acknowledge this is kind of a unique, rare injury? Hi, Bonte.
I'm just going to listen to you talk quarterbacks.
Well, I want to go down the way.
OTAs.
All right. So my point being is, like, we are in uncharted territory at some point. We're talking about an injury that not a lot of quarterbacks have suffered, number one. And number two, this is his moneymaker. The elbow. No, yes, the brain, I would say, is the number one tool for a quarterback. Second, it might be the arm. You could say the feet. Okay, I'll listen to that. The arm's right there. This is your moneymaker. All right? There's a reason pitchers, baseball players, are so cautious and are so conservative when it comes to these timetables. Now, I understand the mechanics of throwing a football and a baseball, very, very different, blah, 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 blah. But we have hundreds of data points of guys who have come back with shoulder tightness, forearm tightness, elbow tightness, and returned too early only to say, darn it, I've re-injured myself or I've made it worse.
Jake Delhomme mean anything?
Well, I mean,
we had Jake Delhomme on talking about the elbow, and he came back and had a good year. I think with technology and medicine and everything's happening, guys do come back quicker. I mean, Bryce Harper, I know he's not a pitcher, but he came back fairly quick from that injury.
He's playing first base. He's not
he
even
is playing first base, but still, the fact that he's hitting bombs.
But not everybody's Adrian Peterson, who can return 5 months later from an ACL.
What if Brock is that guy?
Maybe.
What if Brock is that guy?
But here's what I would say, and this is where I get the PTSD. and I'm going to go back in the Wayback Machine, all right? The Niners have had a spotty injury history in the last decade. But me,
especially with Shanahan,
OG Niner fan, when I'm hearing this Brock Purdy thing, let me take you back in time, okay? This is an article printed by ESPN.com, 2008, September 10th. Alex Smith, his season is over with another shoulder injury. The high-priced quarterback's short career might be finished as well. This is the article from September of 2008.
That Alex Smith may be finished.
Here's what happened. The 49ers put Smith on injury reserve with a broken bone in his right shoulder. The top pick in 2005 will require more surgery on the joint that limited him to 7 games last season. Coach Mike Nolan improbably claimed to know very little about the injury that ended his former franchise quarterback's 4th campaign before he even played a regular season. I'll give you the short gist of it. Alex hurt his shoulder the year prior. He tried to rush back. They brought in other quarterbacks. He felt he needed to compete in camp because JT O'Sullivan started to earn a lot of equity with players, with coaching staff. He goes out there. He thought he was 100%. That almost ended Alex Smith's career. And I don't even know if Alex is that good. So excuse me for having PTSD when I see the Alex Smith thing play out the way it did. And then I'm looking at this quarterback situation and I'm saying, look, Brock put great tape out last year. He shouldn't feel the need to rush back. I get it. Guys can lose their jobs to injuries. I understand all that. And you don't want to give other people opportunities. But health is the number one thing for Brock. And I'm not saying that they're being reckless. I'm just saying, I'd like to see them be overly conservative, overly cautious.
Can I hear the Shanahan cut again? I heard you go to it. I didn't hear it, though. Can I hear that?
Only God knows, and it's all estimates, so it depends what quote people have got from me, but we're hoping for week 1, and I feel pretty optimistic about that. That's what we're hoping for. He'll be ready to play in week 1, and usually that doesn't mean that's the day he comes back. Usually you got to come before that to make that goal, and that's kind of the goal we're hoping for, and don't have any reason to think differently.
So David Lombardi joined us yesterday from The Athletic, and David Lombardi corrected me and made sure to correct me and made sure to put this out there. Brock Purdy's the leader in the clubhouse to start. He's the leader in the clubhouse to start, which gives the Niners wiggle room on not to name their starter. It gives them a hedge. It gives them a hedge to say, you know what? We don't necessarily have to go to Brock Purdy. We think Brock Purdy has earned equity. We think Brock Purdy has played really well. If he was healthy, he'd probably come in starting. He's the leader of the clubhouse, but it gives them wiggle room to hedge their bet in case Trey Lance or Sam Darnold comes out here and balls out. And then you could slow play Brock Purdy. I don't think they're going to put Brock Purdy in a position to rush him back. A 7th-round draft pick, they may not. Or they could say, you know what, the hell with it, Brock, you ready to go? We're going to play you because we have to make a decision on whether or not we want to pay you long term. That may be the move there for the 49ers. So if you're Shanahan and John Lynch, I think you're the best of both worlds. You say, I got Trey Darnold, who can go. And I believe they could be comparable, if not better, than what Brock Purdy did last year. We selected Trey Lance number 3 overall because at one point we believe he could be the best quarterback in that draft class and take us to another level. Sam Darnold, reclamation project, has all the talent in the world, hasn't put it all together. I'm Kyle Shanahan. My ego's so big, I believe I could fix this guy and I could get the best out of him and still win football games. So maybe Brock is feeling the heat, said, I need to come back and compete. I need to rush back because I'm not sure I'm going to get my job back. If you're Shanahan, you're saying, I got the best of everything. Trey has to prove himself. Darnold has to prove himself. And if Brock Purdy wants to go get paid, because he can go get paid, he has to come back and ball out, and he may have to rush back. So if you're Shanahan, you're sitting back saying, I'm Gucci.
So I'm just curious. I know, like, with the franchise quarterbacks, when you get in season, there's this, like, got to come back as fast as you can. Wear a splint. Do this, do that. Like, if this were Drew Brees in his prime, would New Orleans be conservative? I
think Drew Brees would try to come back for week 1.
Okay. You think?
Aaron Rodgers would try to come back for week 1. Peyton Manning would try to come back for week 1.
Wouldn't the organization also, with an more established player than Brock, and I know the situations are different, you don't think that they would kind of put the seatbelt in place to protect the individual from going too fast?
Not in pro football.
You don't think?
It's the NFL.
Really?
It's the NFL. We're trying to win games. We're trying to sell tickets. We're trying to sell jerseys. We're trying to sell popcorn. This guy at 80% gives us a better chance to win than our backup we're going to play him.
See, I
We've
disagree. I
seen-
think if Patrick Mahomes had this kind of an elbow injury, the amount of money that they've invested in him, knowing who he is, I think that they would.
Has Mahomes come back from some serious injuries?
Some knee injuries, but it's not his elbow.
But knee stuff. I mean, think about his ankle last year.
Oh, yeah, it was bad.
That ankle was terrible.
Bonte, it's not
you
the
couldn't
elbow.
move.
The elbow.
But it's the ankle. You can't even move. You're a sitting duck.
How many
you don't have that
pitches-
mobility. So you're asking me, will a quarterback? We've seen a plethora of examples of players coming back quickly when they shouldn't come back. The organizations in the NFL, Shasky, think about it. These guys play with concussions.
No,
this is why concussion protocols put in place, because the organization doesn't protect the player.
Bonte, but
player safety is a myth.
They also put their guys, like, for example, Peyton Manning, when he had the neck surgery, like, they weren't going to allow him to come back for medical reasons so they don't get sued.
But he came back week 1 of the next year, and he still wasn't ready.
I
and
know.
they still threw his ass out there.
I know, but he was also 38 years old, right? So he's at a different point in his career. This guy's 23.
He was 38 when he came back with the Colt. You're talking about the Broncos injury?
Broncos, when he was...
Okay, yeah, but he had the neck injury. And he had a fusion. Yeah, he had a fusion, and he came back week 1, and he struggled for like the first 6 weeks.
My point is this. He's a 23-year-old man. He put great tape out last year. We all love him. His teammates love him. That tape isn't going away. He will get his opportunities. I think moving forward...
There's no guarantee he gets his job back.
I didn't say that. I said he'll get his opportunities, and they will. On this team, you will. I would operate, and I would tell him, dude, you have a spot on this team. I get it. I know you want to push yourself. I just worry. This is the same organization that greenlit Javon Kinlaw's knee for the draft process, and it hasn't been right for 5 years.
Listen, you brought up Alex Smith.
I have PTSD from that.
Forget that. Alex Smith was playing the best football of his career in 2012. Best football of his career. Lit it up on Monday Night Football. What was it, the highest quarterback rating or whatever? I mean, he destroyed the Arizona Cardinals on Monday Night Football.
Michael Crabtree.
He got hurt and never got his job back.
Yeah.
If you're a fringe quarterback who's not that Mahomes, that Rodgers, that top echelon quarterback, there's no guarantee you get your job back. And that's why I think Brock Purdy is pushing the situation. It's not the 49ers per se.
I didn't say it was him.
I think it's Brock Purdy.
You think
and
it's
you know
him?
what? Absolutely. And I think the organization, they're cool with it. This is the NFL. These are gladiators, man. What have we been arguing about for the last 15 years when it comes to these players? Guys, that guy has a concussion. Wait, why is he back in the game? Why is he back in the game? He's obviously discombobulated.
But you have to protect
guys
them from
want to
themselves.
play. But organizations don't do that well.
I know. I acknowledge that.
And I'm not saying the 49ers aren't.
I acknowledge that.
But Brock Purdy hasn't done enough to submit himself as a top 10 quarterback. Hell, Chris Sims, who I don't really buy into his quarterback rankings, he had Brock Purdy one spot ahead of Sam Darnold. That tells you everything to know about how the league, some of the league members, although Chris Sims, I kind of laugh at those rankings. Brock Purdy's not a Mahomes. He's not a Jalen Hurts. He's not a Dak Prescott. So Brock Purdy can't afford to miss so much time. He doesn't come back to week 6, and if Trey Lance is 5-1.
Or Sam Darnold.
I'm betting my money on Trey.
Okay,
That's just who I am. I don't. Again, I don't care who plays quarterback. I still lean Trey. That's that. If one of those guys are 5-1 and they are rolling, and you know this organization listens to the fan base. You know they listen to the Sports Talk Radio Voice. Oh, they do.
You think?
Oh, I know. They know the hot quarterback. We can't go away from this guy. He's rolling right now. I can't go ahead and throw Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy ain't Mahomes.
I know everything.
He ain't Tom Brady.
That's not what I'm saying. I just think for all parties involved, it's best to take a cautious approach. So I put this out on Twitter yesterday, and the responses were insane. If the Niners clear him, he's good to go. He should just go. And then the one guy who's actually in the medical field, and of course he hasn't seen the body and he hasn't looked at the x-rays, but Dr. Narav Pandya, who's on with Willard and Dibbs, tweeted at me, because of how rare this is in the NFL, the most important thing is a cautious, wait and see approach. That's the way he would subscribe. Now, again, he's not the NFL doctor. We're all guessing.
Right.
I'm just telling you my feeling as a Niner fan, where it's I really like Brock. I like Darnold in terms of okay, let's see what happens. I've always loved Trey Lance, and I'm excited to see what the future holds there. Obviously, may the best man win. But if you really, really, really like Brock, which I think a lot of Niner fans do, him being healthy long-term should be priority one.
They don't care. I'm telling you right now, if the Niners start 2-2, they start 1-3, and Brock Purdy's out there throwing, and there's going to be that pressure. Brock, hurry up and get back and save the season. Hurry up and get back and play quarterback for us. Hurry up, Brock. We were undefeated when you played. We need you.
What if
there
you're
would
Jimmy?
be pressure.
What if you're Jimmy G today? And I'm not saying Jimmy G didn't want to play. He did. How many times do you think Jimmy G played injured? I mean, the whole ankle thing in 2020, where him and the coach weren't on the same page about the severity of the ankle injury and the communication back and forth.
And why did he play? Because he felt like he was slipping his grip on the starting job and his grip on his long-term future, his long-term money was slipping away.
How did that help him today?
He got paid by the Raiders. He showed toughness.
How much did he get paid
I think he showed toughness in terms of other teams are like, look at Jimmy play through injuries. Hell, look at what he did in 2021.
I know.
The thumb, the shoulder.
Yeah.
The guy was compromised. I'll give him that. Now, he made some terrible decisions, but think about how Jimmy played. Not only did he play for an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, he played for his boys, but he also played saying, boy, if I don't play and Trey Lance, after winning the Houston game, gets this team into the playoffs and goes on a little mini run, I for sure am done in San Francisco. Because I don't think Jimmy really wanted to leave San Francisco. He wanted to stay with this team
you're right there.
because he gave him the best situation, the best positioning to win a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
But I'm just looking at this organization's history when it comes to these injuries, and I'm not faulting them because I think it's really difficult. Like, the game's violent, number one, but I think it's really difficult. But Raheem Mostert, D. Ford, Quan Alexander. I mean, I could point to a litany of guys who they've greenlit and have come back only to either re-injure themselves in the same injury or were never right to begin with.
That's pro football.
I know,
football.
but this is your quarterback,
That's
and this
pro
is his
football.
arm. This is his moneymaker.
Hey, listen, man, the Niners got to win games. Shanahan saying, I'm in year 7. I got to win the big one. I got to find a way to win games.
At all?
Me? Listen, man.
That does not just remove the winning portion. If you're
Worried
in
about
Brock
what?
Purdy's camp, you're not worried at all a little about the body?
Of course I am, but I also understand I was the last pick of the draft.
Yeah.
I have to get paid.
That's a good point.
I have to get paid. I have to ball out to get a long-term contract and get a stable paycheck. That's what's going on here. And Trey Lance is still there. Sam Darnold is still there. I don't come back and hurry up and play well.
Good point.
I'm not getting my job back.
That's a good point.
So that's why Brock Purdy's rushing it and Shanahan sitting back saying, hey, if it comes back week 1.
I don't even know if they're rushing it. I just wish they would
Purdy
be.
is.
I just wish they'd all be more just patient on this. And again, I'm talking. That's all I'm doing is talking.
But his patience may cost him his starting job.
That's a good point.
It may